Now that you have a feedback form created, whether it's for students or teachers, you need to be able to access it as well as send out to them a link for they can access the form. Within your Google Docs, it looks like a spreadsheet, and when we click into the form, it actually is a spreadsheet with all of the questions up at the top and the data down at the bottom. If I want to edit the actual form, I need to go to Form, Edit Form. And here I can go back and make changes to the form. One thing that you may wish to do that was not done in the original form here is adding the student's name. In many cases, you do want the form to be anonymous. However, in other instances, you may want the students to identify their name. In order to do so, you're going to click Add Item, and I would choose a text question for this because it's a single line of text, and this would likely be a required question. To move that question to the top, I literally drag it up. And then, of course, I click Save. In order to distribute this form to my students or teachers, I need to view the published form and click the link. This link itself can be posted, or I can copy it, visit bit.ly, bit.ly.com, and just paste the web address right here, and it will create a bit.ly link for me, which I can then put into a presentation or write up on the chalkboard, and that will link directly to the actual feedback form. Our next step is how to manage all of the data that is going to come in. There are two methods to do so. One would be to click into the form and to make a copy of this form. I would make a copy for each class, and so each class would then be responding on a different form, and that would keep the data to a minimum. If I do this, I do need to create a separate bit.ly for each form. They will all look the same, but they will show up in my Google Docs as different forms and therefore different groups of data. Another alternative would be to keep all of the data on a single form, but to add a separate question where we ask the students what class they are in. In order to do this, I'm going to add an item and choose a question from a list. The question will be, what class are you in? And I then just put the options into a list at the bottom. Again, I save the question, make it required, and then likely I want to move that by dragging it all the way up to the top. This does, however, create considerably more data and therefore a lot more to be sifted through afterwards when you're asking students to do any sort of analysis on the data or when you're providing the feedback to them. There are advantages to that because you can make cross-class comparisons as the teacher. The disadvantage is there's certainly a lot more data to contend with, and the groups may begin to compare themselves. It would, however, mean a single bit.ly link and a little bit less room in your Google inbox. When I'm finished, I definitely want to save. We will have to keep analyzing the data for another screencast because currently I have no data to work with. Hopefully this does give you a sense of how you can create a form as well as how to distribute it to multiple classes. Once again, students would need to visit that link, fill in the form, and at the end they would be clicking Submit, which is of course right here.